Amid a storm-tossed ocean, an ancient stronghold rises, the lost iron fortress, standing defiant above the roaring seas. From the depths emerge towering iron giants, the Iron Titans, their voices thundering in unison. Destroy the invaders! Across a murky green swamp, 3 figures, likely a sorceress and 2 warriors, advance cautiously toward the distant fortress. From the shadows, a band of mercenaries observes. Among them, an archer girl warns of the Titans' overwhelming size, while a young sorceress speaks of a grand reward. The archer informs their leader. The Titans are far larger than anticipated. Their hooded commander, likely a baron, gives a calm order. Do not panic. Without hesitation, the baron begins conjuring a massive, intricate spell. A bespectacled mage stares in awe, unable to hide her astonishment at the magnitude of his magic. Golden coins materialize in the air and scatter across the ground. The baron's spell, a clever bait. To everyone's disbelief, the Iron Titans freeze. Their assault halts mid-step as the observers exchange stunned glances. The lure has worked. The boss spent 5,000 gold coins on the black market to get his hands on the Chronicles of the Ancient Capital. The Chronicles state that Iron Titans go into an uncontrollable rage when confronted with elemental gold. This will allow you to divert their attention with enough gold. But this caustic solution destroys ordinary metals. A downpour of at least 100 million gold coins is needed to distract the Titans. Don't worry, the boss is just getting rid of assets. He's not in the business of wasting money. That's enough, Emma. Demon fighter, shotgun, God of War gloves, bracelet, and armor. The value of each item in billions of gold coins is shown. Wow, money really does rule the world. The hero of justice, Gao Shi, aka Baron Gordon. Baron Gordon's mission expenditure and revenue report, with detailed financial statements including costs and profits. 2 years ago, after 7 years of traveling, Emma has arrived at the place described in the Justice Bible. Her big sack is behind her back. Emma, priestess of the Church of Destiny, stands in the Place of Justice Heroes Calling Plaza. Emma fussily searches the bag for items for the summoning ritual. She shows a fragment of the Angel of Love's golden horn, mined during a year of searching, then displays the petrified tear of a dying dragon found over 2 years. And finally, an intact self-sacrifice skull, the search for which took 3 years. Emma and helpers arrange the artifacts around the triangle-shaped fountain. Emma prays, turning to the powerful hero of justice, asking him to appear and save the world. Meanwhile, the G Group headquarters is shown. A woman informs the chairman of the acquisition of Pantheon, Bayer Pharmaceuticals, and Northwest Sichuan Network. Gao Yi, founder and head of G Group, the second richest man in the world, plans to fully absorb the acquired companies. The chairman and his assistant are kissing. The assistant says, "That's it, Mr. Chairman." The assistant, sitting on the president's lap, says he has been working overtime for 4 months and she should help him relax. The assistant looks at him seductively and suggests he relax. The chairman looks at her with a questioning expression on his face, wondering. The assessor responds that she has not yet finalized the LifeTech takeover plan. The chairman gets angry and asks if he pays her $3 million a year for escort services. An assistant is tasked with urgent processing of documents. She struggles to carry a huge stack of papers. The assistant, crying, says the chairman only cares about money. The chairman declares that money is the greatest power in this world and he will be the strongest. The chairman stands naked on a fountain as if he's gotten superpowers. Portrait of a young man with short dark hair and a serious expression. He is shirtless. A young man stands naked in the middle of a fountain, surrounded by shocked people. There is a funny drawing on his private parts. A naked man with sunglasses stands by the pool, his face expressing displeasure. The leg of a woman in armor is visible in the corner. A girl with long blonde hair and a joyful expression on her face. She is wearing a white and gold robe. Miniature versions of a girl and a young man. The girl tries to dress him and the young man runs away. The girl in the white and gold outfit covers her face with her hands, her face turning red. A naked man, face full of bewilderment and anger. The girl tries to dress the man and he refuses. The girl reacts with surprise at the offer of 5 seconds of explanation. A girl with a serious face explains to the man the situation with the approaching apocalypse and the fact that he is a justice hero. The priestess joyfully announces the beginning of the hero's journey, which should excite the people, but the hero indifferently refuses. The hero stares dazedly at the high walls surrounding him. Priestess insists he is the chosen hero, and he declares that he wants to be the richest man in the world and has no time to save other worlds. The priestess explains that the summoning ritual is one way, and it is impossible to go back. The man is horrified to hear this. He says goodbye to the world he knows. The priestess tries to calm the distraught hero. The hero mutters irritably while in the priestess's arms. The priestess looks at the hero. She has something in her hands. The priestess, smiling, suggests to the hero not to give up hope. The girl encourages the guy, telling him not to give up hope no matter what. The guy says it's been a long time since he's had a real setback. He asks the girl to tell him about the world and the heroes while he eats. The guy bites into something hard. He has a toothache after biting it. He resents the girl for giving him a rock instead of food. The girl offers to lick the rock to make it softer, but ends up making it even less edible. The guy asks if that's all the food she had. The girl explains that this is her last breadcrumbs she was saving for the justice hero. The guy is amazed to learn that the girl hasn't eaten anything for 5 days because of this breadcrumbs and wonders if she has any money for food at all. The priestess happily agrees to the request. A man asks why the church doesn't provide her with funding. The girl is surprised by the funding question. The man explains that as the priestess who called the hero, she should receive funds from the church. The girl declares that the purpose of the church is to save the world, not to work for money. The girl claps her hands defiantly, emphasizing the seriousness of the situation. The man criticizes the scantiness of the conditions offered by the priestess to the hero. He reflects on the consequences of refusing to help the world. The priestess informs him that she has a gift for the hero. She displays a sword, the imperial sword of justice. The blonde girl asks the man to draw his sword. A man holding a sword questions the value of the weapon offered by a beggarly church. He scrutinizes the sword, noting its unusual design and runes. A man realizes he holds a legendary weapon, the Sword of Justice. He declares that as a hero of justice, he must wield this sword, and the girl agrees. Emma admires the sword and the power of the weapon. The man seems a little embarrassed. A man rushes to the old appraiser to find out the value of the sword. The man asks the old man to assess the commercial value of the sword. They're heading toward the pawn shop. Emma is horrified and in tears when she sees that the man is going to sell the sword. The man states that the sword belongs to him, and he decides how to use it, while favoring cash. A girl with red hair cries out, claiming that the sword is a legendary weapon with centuries of history and can't just be sold. The man is surprised to hear that the sword is legendary grade. The girl, reduced to kawaii size, agrees that the man now knows the value of the sword. The man asks for an appraisal of the sword, mentioning the girl's words about its legendary status and centuries-old history. The appraiser examines the sword and estimates its value at over 500 gold crowns. The man is perplexed as to why someone in such distress would steal such a valuable sword. The appraiser, ignoring the doubts, declares that he will not miss the opportunity to make a huge profit from this situation. The appraiser states that the workmanship of the sword is not too bad, but the materials are cheap black metal and useless gilding, so the real price is only 200 gold crowns. The man and the girl leave. The man states that they are leaving. The heroine, a knight of justice, asks the man not to sell the sword. A man explains that he accidentally came across a dishonest transaction. An old man, a sword seller, tries to stop the man. The man reflects that he does not understand the true value of the sword, but realizes that refusing the initial price is the best way to start the haggling. The man apologizes to the hero and the old man for the failed first attempt to set a price. He offers an honest conversation. The heroine is surprised to see the cookies. The girl enjoys eating cookies. The old man asks the man how to address him. The man says he doesn't want to waste time with an informal conversation and offers to get the store manager. The old man agrees, but then explains how to raise the price using bargaining tactics. The hero of justice frowned upon hearing the question. Emma, hungry for 5 days, swallows her saliva with difficulty. The girl offers the justice hero a cookie, insisting that he eat the whole thing. Emma, despite her hunger, hesitating to eat. Justice's hero realizes the reason for her reluctance to eat. He says that Emma is thinking about selling the imperial sword of justice. Emma, after eating the cookies, feels guilty about selling the sword. Emma cries, asking why he's selling sacred weapons. The hero Justice, speaking to Emma, explains the need to make difficult decisions. He says that a hero must act independently of his ideals. Emma's still worried. The hero of Justice explains that selling the sword is a forced measure and vows to make up for the damage. The man, turning to Emma, declares that he can't go it alone and they need to overcome the difficulties together. The man asks Emma if she's willing to cooperate, showing her something in his hand. Emma happily agrees. The man grinned contentedly, and Emma beside him happily ate a cookie. The man instructs Emma to cooperate when the manager shows up. There is a creak of the door opening. The man assumes there's an elderly person behind the door with whom he likes to bargain. Part of a pink rabbit's ear appears outside the door. A girl in a bunny costume appears, looking shy and a little scared. The girl, realizing that her presence is important, promises to listen carefully. The man, Gordon, spits out his coffee, being shocked by something. Gordon asks if the woman in front of him is a manager and not a bunny girl. The girl, Emma, is fascinated, turns into a rabbit and grabs Gordon by the ears. Emma grabs Gordon's ears. The girl with pink hair reacts to Emma's actions. Gordon berates Emma for being rude, while Emma apologizes for her behavior. The girl with pink hair calms down when she sees Gordon behaving himself. Gordon, still trying to be polite, tries to touch the pink-haired girl's ears. Gordon apologizes for the awkward moment and asks permission to introduce himself. Gordon introduces himself as Gordon Paywood, a nobleman from a distant land, and the scene abruptly shifts to showing the king bathing with naked women. Gordon inherited the wealth and title of his cruel and despotic father, who exploited the peasants and lived a life of luxury and debauchery. After his father's death, Gordon immersed himself in an even more licentious lifestyle, enjoying wealth and pleasure. When Gordon met Emma, a priestess, his life changed. Emma showed him the light, explaining that greed is a sin and can only be redeemed through justice. For 5 years, Gordon gave up his former lifestyle, studying piety and giving away his wealth to the needy. Emma helped Gordon find his conscience and taught him compassion. The old appraiser man is suspicious of Gordon's actions in selling his sword. Gordon explains that he wants to help the poor people of the town by using the money from the sale of the sword. Dorkaka, who runs a pawn shop, is touched by Gordon's act. Dorkaka introduces himself to Gordon. Gordon asks Dorkaka to appraise his family sword. 2 women exchange a long, decorated object that looks like a sword. One of them says, "Well then..." A girl with pink hair and hair ears sniffs a sword. The girl's ears twitch. The girl bites the sword. The girl's ears twitch again. The man explains to the blonde that the minimum price of a sword is 1,000 crores. The pink-haired girl offers 5,000 crocs for the sword. The old man is surprised at the high cost of a sword made of black steel. The blonde is also amazed. The man explains that he had done a study of the purchasing power in the city before coming, and 5,000 crores is a huge amount that will provide food for a long time. The old man running the store says there are only 5,300 crores in the vault, and the pink-haired girl asks him to believe her. The old store manager is concerned that if they spend their entire supply of gold crocs, the big man will get angry. The man explains that he is not to blame for the price increase because the buyers gave themselves away. He assumed that Dorkaka would take pity on him and offer a fair price. The man realizes he was wrong in his expectations. The old man berates Gordon for being excessive, claiming that the store manager can't identify metals as if he were half human. The man explains that the Sword of Imperial Justice is more than a piece of metal. It holds immense power and is a legendary weapon. The girl is shocked to learn that the sword is worth 20,000 crores. The old man becomes enraged at the inflated price. Dorkaka provides a receipt for withdrawal of 20,000 crores for Gordon. The man reasoned that he may have underestimated the value of the sword, but could raise the price even higher as access to powerful structures is limited. The man admits that his only chance is a bargain as there are no other pawnshops in the vicinity, and if he shows his minimum requirements, no one will know if he can even secure 500 crores. The man decides to consolidate the current benefits. The female rabbit says she pities his desire to save the people from poverty. A man thanks her on behalf of the city's poor. The woman gives him a sack with 5 gold pieces. A man taking a sack hurries to distribute alms, depicts a luxurious mansion against the backdrop of sunset. A man and a woman enter the great hall of the mansion. The man, looking around, notices the expensiveness of the place. He resents the poor service of a hotel that can't accommodate guests. The woman with the cigarette notices that their Jade Palace is the most luxurious hotel by a long distance. The affluent woman smokes and states that ordinary people have never been their customers. A woman orders 2 huge bodyguards to get rid of someone. The young man complains about the hostility of others instead of friendly companionship. The young man adopts an arrogant pose, declaring his nobility and his willingness to demonstrate it. 2 servants carry away a girl with pink hair on a stretcher. The blonde-haired girl, Emma, is being led away. She is frightened. The 2 curtains slide open abruptly. Emma begs the hero to save her and not undress her. The hero calms her down, explaining that this is part of saving the world. The young man is perplexed by what has happened. An hour passes. Another curtain swings open, revealing fragments of Emma's clothing and a fragment of a man's jacket. A woman with red hair is shocked to learn of the existence of a dressmaking service. Shown is an elegant woman in a long dress, possibly a dressmaker or company representative. A young man in a fine suit, perhaps a client or a baron. The red-haired woman is aware of the high cost of off-site tailoring services from the prestigious Jinwaxuan company. The woman is surprised that anyone in the city can afford such services. A young man in a suit receives a compliment and a generous tip from his client. His name is Gordon. Gordon, tired, asks to finish the job. The red-haired woman expresses her gratitude to Gordon, somewhat obsessively. Gordon, not wanting to be pandered to, merely asks for food and lodging. The red-haired woman happily offers to show Gordon to his room. The man sternly tells Emma to pull herself together. Emma is in a daze, stunned by the price of the clothes, 2,500 crores for 2 items. Emma is surprised at the luxury of her room. The girl admires the softness of the fabric of the garment, the man observes. The man lays Emma on the bed, telling her to rest. Emma sleeps sweetly and compares the feel of the bed to a cloud. The man objects, saying the bed is stiffer than the mattresses in his world. The man wonders where Emma has been sleeping all this time. Emma sleeps soundly. Stories are told about places where people can find sleep, in stable chicken coops and pigsties. Although many are forced to sleep outside, but it's not so bad when you can admire the stars. A man with dark hair and a stern expression seemed to be thinking. A boy warms his little sister Xiaoxi in a makeshift snow shelter. The young man vows to earn enough money to provide Xiaoxi with a luxurious home. The girl dreams of the day when she and her brother can sleep together in one big bed. Emma calls the young man a righteous man, though he does not look like the hero she expected. The young man is skeptical of the idea of righteousness. He explains that saving the world or protecting loved ones comes down to one thing: love. A man shows off a gold coin. A bountiful repast with a variety of dishes is spread on the table. The girl wonders if the huge spending on food is a waste of funds. The young man discreetly replies that it's all part of a plan to save the world. The man ponders that meeting an influential person, perhaps a feudal lord, will help him break into the upper circles of society. He plans to use this man as a springboard to enter aristocratic society and establish lucrative business connections. However, the man feels that self-presentation in this small, isolated place would be an unwise act. So he decides to organize an event of this magnitude in the city to attract the attention of this powerful man. First of all, it is necessary to analyze the economic situation of the city. Then he orders Emma to rest, and he himself goes to the city to stimulate the circulation of money. A girl who has eaten too much can hardly pronounce that she's had enough. Night landscape with Munvrik Castle on the island. A knife cuts through a piece of meat. A man is lying flat on the floor with someone's foot in front of him. There is a table in a large hall with one person sitting at it and another person standing in front of it. Count Modto of Crocodile Bay shows a piece of meat to a man lying on the floor. The man on the floor explains to the Count that he didn't collect enough taxes. Count Modto chuckles, asking if his man will leave him hanging in the air. The man on the floor is horrified. The man on the floor is greedily eating a piece of meat. Count Modto invites the man to sit at the table, bragging about the quality of the meat. The man eats the meat with pleasure, praising its flavor. The mayor, a man in gray, grabbed his arm. It snapped. The Count, a man with green clothes, enjoys the sight of the maids carrying a lot of meat. The mayor, stunned, claims he can't eat that much meat. Earl points out that the mayor collects huge taxes and reminds them of the oath of office. The mayor says the Earl hates infidelity. The mayor flies out of his chair. The Count threatens the mayor, leaving him 15 minutes to fulfill the request. The mayor's chair is broken. The mayor sits at the meat table. The Count watches him. The Count says the crocodiles from Thornmail Pond will eat the mayor with the meat. 2 crocodiles swim out of the water. The character lands in the water with a loud sound. 2 crocodiles attacking, 2 humans watching from an elevated position. A man eats a piece of meat with horror. The foot in the boot sinks into the water. Gordon, a nobleman in a green suit, threatens someone. Gordon smiles. Gordon is having a conversation with some man expressing his displeasure over the crocodile tax collections. The girl in the bunny costume is chained up. She's terrified. The girl is horrified and shocked as she talks about the sword. Gordon examines the magic sword, recognizing its wielder, a righteous noble from a distant land. A man with emerald hair holds a small animal and finds it adorable. The man orders his dark assistant, Phantom, to conduct a reconnaissance of Gordon. A gloved hand grabs something that looks like cloth or clothing. The The man with emerald hair grabs the woman with pink hair and prepares to tell her something. Man's reasoning is that to know are but elegant beasts. The man ponders how predatory animals can possess goodwill. Night view of the medieval town. A man with dark hair molests a girl, offering to undress her. The girl with the long blonde hair resists it. The man justifies his actions on the grounds that the priestess must fulfill the hero's needs. Emma refuses to do anything for the man, saying she can do anything but that. The man insists that Emma doesn't decide. A man kicks Emma into the tub, complaining about her odor. The man wrinkles his nose at the smell and comments on the last time Emma bathed. Emma is afraid to go into the bathtub for fear of the cold and snakes. Emma discovers that the water is shallow and warm. Emma is enjoying the warm water. The man remarks that Emma never seems to have lived happily ever after, comparing her to the other girl he bought the mansion for. Emma's making something fall out. Emma was shocked when something warm and slippery crawled up her thigh. There's a brownish creature crawling around in the hot water on someone's leg. Emma screams frightened when she sees the creature, which she mistakes for a snake. The young man reassures Emma, explaining that snakes don't live in hot water. A young man notices something unusual in the water. Emma peeks out from behind the young man's shoulder. A woman with pink hair explains that this is a fire slug, a unique species native to the area. The woman explains that these slugs generate enough heat to warm the water to a comfortable temperature and that they are not toxic, but instead clean the dirt. The woman suggests that Emma and the young man take a bath at home to cleanse themselves of dirt. Emma is perplexed. The young man ponders the commercial potential of these creatures. The young man tells Emma that she will have to stay and wash up before leaving. Emma agrees. Red wine is poured into a glass. A woman with red hair, who introduces herself as a girl, pours wine for Mr. Gordon without understanding his purpose. A woman, enjoying wine, is delighted by the appearance of a rich young man whom she intends to seduce. She plans to charm Mr. Gordon into becoming her human treasure. A woman offers Mr. Gordon wine. A woman plans to excite a man. The woman demonstrates herself, eliciting a strong reaction from Mr. Gordon. Mr. Gordon seems to be quite agitated. A woman gets caught for attempted seduction. In fact, the woman is cleverly deceiving the situation. The man hurries to change his wet clothes to learn about the small town faster, for time is money. The woman is surprised at his quickness and explains that it all happened accidentally because of spilled wine. The man politely asks the woman's name. The woman introduces herself as Ms. Lanla, owner of the Jade Palace Inn. The man asks Lanla for details about the city. Lanla shows a map of Crocodile City, describing its location on the border of the Kingdom of Crocodile Bay, and points out its swampy terrain. The man understands why crocodiles are the country's national symbol. The man wonders what else besides crocodiles the country is famous for. Lanla replies that the rice variety, pond rice, is also known. It is told that despite the small population, due to the marshy plains near the border, the Kingdom of Crocodile Bay has successfully cultivated the rice variety. High-quality pond paddy's rice, whose grains are 3 times larger than ordinary rice, characterized by softness, stickiness, and sweetness, is available only to the nobility. The man is skeptical of the claim that it is a food exclusively for nobles. The woman, Miss Lanla, explains that 1 to 5 of all the pond paddy's rice in the kingdom goes to the nobles and the rest is sent overseas. Lanla tells us that in Crocodile City, the common people eat cheap grains imported from neighboring states and eat only rice bran, not even millet. The man concludes that the city and country are rotting from within, even though Miss Lanla was able to open a luxury hotel. The man notes that Lanla must have a remarkable management strategy. Lanla admits that she opened a luxury inn in a remote town bordering purgatory because of its favorable location. The man clarifies if she is referring to the habitat of the mystical fire slugs. Lanla explains that the island is not home to a fire slug, but a unique creature, the strongest among the fire creatures of Pangaea. Shown is an image of this creature, 2 birds inhabiting the volcanic lake of Purgatory. A powerful firebird, the molten dragon sparrow dwells in volcanoes and possesses powerful fire magic. The bird's activity causes volcanic eruptions and seas to boil. Each feather of the bird holds a powerful magical essence of fire, which can be used to create a staff that can unleash immense magical power. Anyone looking for the feather of the molten dragon sparrow must travel to the town of Crocodile, near where Purgatory is located, and stay at the only decent inn, the Jade Palace. The owner of Jade Palace, Lanla, explains that only 2 types of people stay at the inn. The first type are elite mercenaries of the royal army, generously paid for living expenses. The second type are high-level adventurers looking to enhance their magical abilities. Due to the dangers of the molten dragon sparrow, many adventurers die, so few can afford to stay in the city for long. Jade Palace owed a huge amount of money and would soon be taken away. The young man is interested in the big guy mentioned in connection with the hotel debt, taking an interest in him. Lanla, a woman in an elegant dress, says that Count Modto is a powerful figure, the ruler of the Crocodile Kingdom, and Crocodile City is one of his territories. Lanla says goodbye to Mr. Gordon, wishing him a good night, and tells him it's getting late. Mr. Gordon stops, mesmerized by Lana's beauty. Lanla warns Gordon not to interfere with Count Modto, and to avoid people and matters related to him. She adds that if he does not, he can say goodbye to his life. Shows a map of the Crocodile Kingdom with various locations, including Crocodile City. Mr. Gordon states that he will remember Ms. Lanlu's advice. A sly grin appears on the man's face. He reasoned that the more dangerous the business, the greater the profit, citing the California gold rush and the diamond mines in South Africa as examples. Gordon argues that danger always accompanies money. The young man decides to take action no matter what. He asks Emma if she's finished showering. Emma, feeling all too comfortable, is a little confused. Emma, already in her robe, sits on the bed and the young man sits in the chair opposite. The girl drinks something from a mug, savoring the moment. Emma exclaims joyfully that she has survived. A young man asks Emma to tell him about his powers, for he is a hero of virtue. Emma is surprised that he's finally showing interest in his abilities. Emma is a little embarrassed and coughs. It tells of a prediction of a coming crisis and of 5 heroes of wisdom and faith summoned from another world. The holy girl holds a book which, she explains, is a personal guide for each of the 5 heroes called to save the world. The hero learns that after completing all the trials described in the book, the heroes will meet for the final battle. The holy girl finds it difficult to answer the hero's question about his abilities. The hero rebukes the conductor for her incompetence. The girl explains that in order to get information about the hero's abilities, he needs to complete the first task in the book, save 100 people. The hero and the girl decide to start exploring the book from the end. The hero scrutinizes the book. The book can only be opened after completing tasks in a certain order, and the hero's power is sealed. The hero realizes that they need to get the sword back as soon as possible. The hero finds the first assignment too silly and impractical. The man at the top of the pyramid declares himself to be an ardent capitalist seeking to use surplus value to increase profits. A man ponders why the Church of Destination considers him a hero of virtue. The woman reassures the man by calling him a hero. The woman, Emma, explains that despite not having access to a virtue manual, she has mastered the skill of healing and is ready to protect the hero. The man is amazed by Emma's healing and contracting abilities. A man asks Emma if her facility contracting skills can be utilized. Emma confirms that her contracts work with both people and objects, and once a contract is signed, she can summon them anytime and anywhere. Emma explains that the items, once contracted, are stored in her sea of consciousness, which is like a portable storage unit. Emma explains that the amount of items she can store depends on the amount of magical energy in the object, and that storage of powerful artifacts, such as the Royal Sword of Benevolence, is limited. A man ponders how much gold he will be able to store in his sea of consciousness by contracting it. A man and a woman stand in front of a huge sack, possibly containing money. The woman explains that the magic bag can hold hundreds of millions of coins. The man proposes to the woman to make a contract. The woman is surprised and asks if the hero is joking. A man explains to Emma that this money is seed money to save the world, and that success depends on it. Emma agrees. Emma pulls out a knife. Emma, holding up the knife, offers to start. The hero looks scared. Emma explains that you have to smear the object with blood to make a pact. A woman carrying a sack full of gold coins. A man looks in horror at a pile of gold coins. He is asked to help. A man asks if his blood should be used for a ritual with a lot of gold. The girl with the blue eyes confirms it. The man thoughtfully agrees. He explains that his healing skills cannot restore blood. The man assumes the existence of blood-restoring drugs in the magical world. The girl talks about the availability of such medicines, but about their high price and inaccessibility in small towns. The man contemplates smearing the object with blood for the ritual. The girl suggests a more efficient way of contracting. First, you need to find a bucket that holds all the gold coins, fill it with water, then pour all the gold coins into a wooden basin. The last step is to wound your palm, mix the blood with water, and dip each coin in it. The man performs the ritual as planned. Emma must prepare for the healing. Emma feels dizzy. The man panics, realizing something has gone wrong. It's getting harder and harder for him. He scolds Emma, asking her to get up. He tries to lift the girl up. Emma loses consciousness. The man realizes there is no other way out. A stranger leans over the girl, possibly giving her assistance. A man gently kisses a girl. The girl comes to her senses, noting the warmth on her lips. The girl, confused, clearly expresses surprise. The man leans toward the girl, perhaps kissing her again. A man, with a wound on his arm, asks a girl to help stop the bleeding. The girl pushes the man away. The girl explains that, according to the teachings of the Church of Destiny, sacred mentors cannot show such intimacy with heroes. The man gets annoyed, claiming he's just trying to stop the bleeding. The man and the girl look at each other, their expressions full of anxiety and bewilderment. The man watches the green magic heal the wound on his arm. The man is amazed at the instant healing of the wound by magic. A man ponders how much money he could make if he brought a girl with healing magic to his world. The man realizes that even if healing magic is rare, he will still gain an advantage by having access to it. The man plans to use the contract and the gold coins to convince Emma. Emma demonstrates her abilities to a man. The man's hand reaches out to Emma. Emma stands holding a golden staff. Emma is angry. The contract is made, and now mortals will be part of the hero of virtue. A young man standing behind the podium expresses deep concern. A close-up of the young man's face, he is in great emotional distress. The shot focuses on the young man's eyes, conveying his intense emotion. A majestic woman in a crown appears, radiating light, a supernatural being. A woman of enormous size holds a small man in her palms. A young woman's legs, she is awakened by someone or something. The man woke up. An invoice is seen for the purchase of various goods and services for a considerable amount of gold and silver. The young man's hands glow, he feels a surge of energy. A young man, his face expressing surprise and delight. He is approached by a concerned girl. Interested in his well-being, he states that he feels much better. A man reflects on his new life, in which he is intimately connected to the gold coins of this world. He declares that he renounces his former words of peace. The man marvels at this new wonderful world. It's the next morning, his name. Only Emma's back is visible as she sleeps. Emma sleeps in her bed, in her robe. The man notices that Emma is sleeping very soundly. He decides to apply a certain plan. He picks up the loaf. He shoves a loaf into Emma's mouth. A woman screams in pain, holding her hand against the backdrop of a luxury building. The girl asks the man what they will be doing today. The man explains that the homeowner has warned of danger in the city, so they will go to get self-defense supplies and medicine. The girl enjoys eating chocolate, thinking the characters are good people. A man reflects that owning a luxury hotel in a small town indicates the integrity of the owner. A man and a girl came into the drugstore. At the pharmacy, a girl asks about healing potions. The apothecary is surprised that he sold a similar potion to another customer just yesterday. The apothecary notes the man's expensive-looking clothes and anticipates a good profit. The apothecary shows 3 vials of healing potion at a bargain price. A young man in elegant clothes buys potions, noting that the price isn't that high. The vendor explains that blood restoration potions are essential for healing, traveling, and adventure. The seller offers the buyer a discount. 30 high-quality healing potions for 45 crocodile coins. The seller, smiling, is about to hand over the potions, but the buyer asks to wait. The buyer is happy with the price if the potions are really high quality. The young man, however, doubts the quality of the potions. The salesperson is nervous, not understanding what the customer is getting at. The customer pulls a vial of potion out of his pocket. He explains that the production of healing potions is a complicated process, and transportation can damage their quality, which greatly affects the price. But determining the quality of a potion is pretty simple. The buyer pours the potion into a vessel for demonstration. The young man explains that the brighter the red color of the potion, the higher its quality. The old man with the mustache explains that the vendor uses bright red vials to hide the poor quality of the potions. The young man says that potions are only effective for about a year, and their effects diminish over time, and that expired potions have a blood odor. To cover up the smell of blood, the seller uses incense. The young man concludes that the potions being sold have only a fraction of the effectiveness of normal healing potions. The young man accuses the merchant of selling substandard potions. The merchant is amazed at the young man's knowledge of healing potions. The young man explains that he specifically asked Emma and the shopkeeper about healing potions before his visit. The young man states that scrutinizing the product is standard trade practice. The young man touches the trader's shoulder, asking him to let him go. A man in formal clothes explains to the woman that all people with unusual tactics are either mercenaries or adventurers with royal descent or from known adventurer groups. A man is told that if his secret case is revealed, he will not be released. It is explained to the man that he is doing this risky act to escape after hunting season and make money. The terrified man admits he doesn't want to do it, but has to because he hasn't paid his taxes in 2 months and fears for his life. A man falls in front of a man in armor begging to be let go. The man in armor offers a deal. If the man can get potions that meet his requirements, 30 gold coins will be his. Otherwise, his life will belong to him. The man in armor declares that the fugitive's life is now his. The frightened man agrees to bring the potions. A variety of high-quality potions are shown. The man shows his potions and offers to test their quality if there is no trust. A young man in elegant clothes asks the seller to pack the goods. The seller explains that the price of the goods is 120 gold coins, and that selling at a lower price will bring him great losses. He adheres to the rule, 1 counterfeit is 30 gold coins. A young man threatens to tell about the seller's fraud to a certain Modto, forcing him to pay the bill. The frightened seller realizes that the buyer is related to Modto, whom he believes to be an evil nobleman. The seller begs the young man to take back all the merchandise, admitting his fraud. A young man, accompanied by a girl with long blonde hair, takes all the goods to prevent further cheating of customers. The girl praises him. The young man, looking at the frightened salesman, chastises him not to cheat people. After that, they go to the arms and equipment store. They buy high-quality potions, health recovery, mana recovery, and antidote for 30 gold coins even though their market value was 120. As the young man walks along, a smaller version of the salesman runs beside him, sobbing in shame. They buy an overhead chest protector and a nifty dagger at a discounted price at a gun store. The hero tries to commit suicide but is saved by Emma. The hero and Emma buy goods in the town at very low prices. Emma wonders why the salesman is selling goods so cheaply to the hero. The hero cries tears of joy after discovering an incredibly effective marketing method. The man explains that the sellers see him as cute, so they agree to low prices. Emma is surprised by the hero's tears and thinks his reaction is overreaction. The character compares himself to a lonely god. So powerful is he in comparison to those around him. The hero and Emma walk through a town where it is obvious that it is poor. A view of a city in which poverty and decay are evident. The hero realizes that this small town has been heavily exploited by Count Modto. The hero and his companion stand on a stage in front of a large audience. Someone in the audience notices that something unusual has happened. A group of people are watching with hidden concern. The soldiers are holding a young man in custody who begs them to let them go. A soldier accuses the boy of secretly buying provisions, threatening him with death. A soldier explains to the boy the law against buying food outside of official sources. The young man objects that even in the official markets, they don't have money for food. A soldier explains that the law is harsh on those who break it because of hunger, with cruelty as punishment. The other soldiers suggest that the hero beat up lawbreakers to make an example of them. The hero's companion expresses doubts about the need for violence, fearing further conflict with the locals. The hero calms the companion, pointing out the inexpediency of a forceful solution to the problem, which could lead to undesirable consequences. The crying girl covers her mouth with her hand, asking, "Then how?" The man replies with a confident smile that the girl will find out, but first they need to go back to the Jade Mountain Palace and borrow something. A group of people watch the execution, accusing someone of secretly buying rations. The agitated man warns, "Heed this warning." The command, "Execute," is given. The girl is being prepared for execution. A man in armor shouts, "What peasant dares to stop an execution?" A carriage wheel appears on the paved road. A blonde-haired girl in a white dress stands next to the carriage. A man in a dark suit approaches the girl, extending his hand. An unidentified man saved the boy from execution, incurring the wrath of the guards. The man asks Emma to speak to the outraged security guard. Emma explains that her master, Baron Gordon of Tongtian, wishes to take the boy as a servant. The boy refuses to serve the Baron, preferring death. A man pats the boy on the cheek. The man declares that no one can resist his will. The man seems to possess some sort of magical powers. The guard reasons that the Baron, judging by his behavior, is not an honorable man, and decides to take advantage of the situation. The guard offers the boy to the Baron as a favor. The guard mocks the boy by talking about his good fortune in being in the service of the Baron. A girl is warned of the dangers of falling into the hands of corrupt aristocrats. The soldier makes the man thank the Baron by pinning him to the ground. The young man gets angry, objecting. The young man beats the soldier, saying that the man already belongs to him. Knights in armor appear, shocking those around them. The girl watches in shock. A young man, seemingly a baron, resents being assassinated. The soldier apologizes to the Baron. The Baron's hand reaches for the girl's buttocks. The Baron resents that his woman dared to look at him. A man asks a woman to hug his arm, saying it is important to save someone. The woman agrees. The woman hugging the man's arm tightly looks upset and frightened. You can see how close the woman pressed herself against the man. A man asks another man how many times he has looked at a woman. The man replies that it's only once. The first man asks a group of people how many times he has looked at a woman. A group of people shout out different numbers, indicating multiple views. A man who is asked about the number of views is shocked by the crowd's responses. The man is disappointed with the number of views called by the peasants. The man concludes that 100 looks are too many. The man reflects that he has seen Count Modto a maximum of 99 times. Count Modto's subordinate declares that the Count is powerless and that if Modto knew of his existence, he would be dead by now. The man claims he won't act on his own to avoid getting his hands dirty. The man gets coins for one hit. A man yells at a crowd of fleeing people. The crowd screams in pain. The man says the law is incapable of punishing the masses, but is profitable and allows them to blow off steam. It's time for the soldiers to taste their own medicine. A man asks Count Modto how he feels about being a skilled criminal while watching what's going on. A man walks toward the castle. A hooded woman stands on the wall. An aerial view of the luxurious mansion. Inside the mansion are 3 people: a young man with short gray hair, a woman in a white dress, and a man in a dark blue suit. The man claims he saved the young man's life, so his life now belongs to him. The young man replies that this is not salvation, but just another rich man's game, and if the man wants him to become his servant, it is better to kill him at once. The man explains that he will not kill the young man, as he has spent a lot of money and acting skills to save him. The murder would have become unprofitable. A man talks about what he really wants. He states that he wants a young man. The young man asks in confusion what the man wants. The man hesitates. The man offers the young man to become his employee, showing him a contract. The girl reacts with surprise at the unexpected news. A man announces his decision to move to another world and recreate his band there, taking a girl to work with him. He goes on to explain that in the other world there is no concept of working age, and the girl becomes his first employee. The man insists that the first step to work is hygiene. The girl is embarrassed. The man orders Emma to bathe the girl. The girl is worried, but Emma calms her down. The girl expresses her displeasure and protests the offer to become an employee and bathe. She is also surprised that she is considered a girl. The man becomes confused. He reflects on why he chose the girl as his first employee, realizing the mistake and regretting the choice. The girl, already in her robe, walks hand in hand with Emma. The girl, still embarrassed, stands in her robe. A man inquires about the well-being of a girl going through after a facial injury. The girl assures that she feels better thanks to a warm compress from Emma. The man asks the girl's name. The girl introduces herself as Cat, or Kitty Tail. The man notes the cute name. A slice of strawberry cake is pictured. A man offers a girl dessert. The girl is surprised by the appearance of the cake. Her friend is also amazed. The girl picks up a fork and takes a piece of cake. The girl tastes the cake. The girl cries with pleasure as she enjoys the cake. A young man offers a girl a strawberry cake, asking why she won't eat it. The girl politely declines, explaining that she doesn't want to spoil her appetite before dinner and is uncomfortable taking the treat. The young man notices that the girl looks upset. He says the cake is not free, shows a cartoon girl who ate too much. He scolds the girl Emma for eating too much, suggesting that they keep the cake for dinner. The man explains that the cake is payment for answering questions about Count Modto, 1 silver coin for each question. He asks how Modto makes his money. The girl replies that she knows all about Modto, believing him to be a scoundrel. Writing down the answer, he asks the following question about Modto's fetishes. The girl is embarrassed, asking me to re-ask the question tomorrow, as her voice is hoarse. The hero hurries to learn as much as possible about Count Modto, since time is short. Only in this way will he be able to cope with the situation. Emma is surprised. She is shown a letter. The man holds up a dinner invitation from Count Modto, received from the maid, and is surprised. A man asks Emma to look after the estate, promising to return. Emma adjusts the sleeve of his clothes. Emma stands next to the man, slightly embarrassed. Emma decisively declares her desire to go with him. The man says that Emma wasn't invited by anyone and must comply. Emma insists on doing her own thing, calling it her mission to be the hero's guide. Emma, the heroine of virtue, learns that Count Modto, the villain, is dangerous, and she is helpless with no martial arts or magic. Her protector is concerned for Emma's safety, fearing that Modto might kill her. The man hums, hinting at his plans. The man reassures Emma, assuring her that he won't die easily, and she should wait for his return. Goodbye between Emma and the man. They reach for each other. Emma is going through a separation from her lover. At night, Emma leaves in a carriage. Inside the mansion, a man meets a woman in an elegant dress. A woman warns a man, a baron, not to mess with the dangerous Modto. The baron asks Lanliu how she can be sure he is as harmless as Count Modto. The wheels of the carriage roll along the cobblestone road. A woman in a black dress exits a building and is met by a horse-drawn carriage. The woman with red hair thinks of Baron Gordon, fearing a danger that is not felt but exists. The red-haired girl admits to herself that she's a little obsessed with Gordon. The young man looks at Gordon's portrait. The young man reflects on Gordon, calling him mysterious, barbaric, and bloody, but also sees great business opportunities in him. The carriage in which the disguised man sits moves toward the gates of the fortress under the crescent moon. A young man in rich clothes with a serious expression on his face. Detailed shot of the feet of a woman in elegant boots walking through tall grass. A young man watches a distant hooded figure standing by a dock on the lakeshore. A woman in a mask and long cloak stands on the dock, pointing to a boat moored nearby. A woman is taking a man in a boat across the water to a dark castle. A young man with dark hair and a serious expression. A castle that looks like a huge, ghostly skeleton set in a swampy area. The young man, Mr. Gordon, is in the castle under strict surveillance by the guards. Mr. Gordon is asked to wait in a private room. Gordon is encouraged to use the time to think about his plans. A close-up of Gordon's eyes, a drop of sweat on his face. Gordon is experiencing sudden drowsiness. Gordon notices the foul odor of incense, while feeling a strange warmth and a pleasant smoothness to his skin. A surprised mermaid with purple hair and fish-like fins on her shoulders looks at the viewer. Her expression is full of amazement. The mermaid stuck out her tongue, still marveling at her predicament. A man is in a pool with several mermaids. He wonders how he ended up in this situation. An explanation of the physiological features of ice mermaids. Their bodies do not freeze in icy water. Continued explanation. Mermaids' skin maintains their body temperature, but their tongues always remain cold. The contrast of the mermaid's cold tongue and warm water creates an unusual sensation. A man is asked, "Are you Count Modto?" He replies that a show will begin. Baron Gordon faces the choice of being a generous noble or a wasteful aristocrat. Baron Gordon is considering other options. He could have gotten his hands on the money and enslaved people. Foot in the water, voiceover says, "Not this and not that." The young man, Gordon, explains that he is a low-ranking aristocrat using his business skills and appearance to get the Earl's attention and help. Gordon assures the Earl that all his actions are just an attempt to attract attention and apologizes. The Count notices that Gordon is stronger than he thought and asks what kind of help he needs. Gordon responds that he needs to improve the look of his carefully crafted army. The young man explains that he needs a strong army to kill his uncle. The Count is surprised by Gordon's request and asks why he didn't tell him about his family and his desire to kill his uncle. Gordon reveals his origins. He is the eldest son of a little nobleman, Lord Gordon G. Paywood of Tongtian City on the Golden Isle. The story of Gordon's father, a maritime merchant whose ship sank during a violent storm, is told. After the shipwreck, Gordon's father drifted at sea for 7 days and nights until he reached an uninhabited island. Gordon's father, initially despondent after the loss of the fleet and wishing he were dead, unexpectedly discovered something on the island. The hero discovers an island covered with golden sand. He is amazed at the riches found on the island. It turned out to be an uninhabited island surrounded by golden sand, on which the hero's father built a city of gold, naming the island Golden. The good times are over. The hero's uncle killed his father by poisoning him with wine and took his mother. To survive, the hero ran away, vowing revenge on his uncle. He longs to reclaim all that is rightfully his. The hero asks for the Count's help. The manhwa is inspired by the classic tragedy slam, but with the addition of a fictionalized life. The Count says that even an experienced man can be seduced by the riches of the Golden Isle and the beauty of a hero. His Highness Gordon had experienced something terrible that made everyone who heard his sobs weep. Wake up. Even without details, this Count Modto was easier than expected. Count Modto lunges at Gordon with a dagger. Gordon is surprised and hurt. Gordon is stunned to see blood on Modto's chest. "You want to know why I hit you? Please, give me a reason." First of all, you came to ask me, and in doing so, you were carrying a knife, which shows your hostility towards me. You wagged your tail like a dog after I asked you to. And two, I hate it most when tricks are put in front of me. Gordon worries that he lied to Earl by telling him his identity based only on his assumptions. Earl, despite his displeasure with Gordon's methods, was interested in his story. Gordon explains to Earl that despite his suspicions, he couldn't resist the island's wealth. Earl offers Gordon wine that can heal wounds. Gordon, injured, is upset that his test kits have been confiscated and he can't use them. Earl teases Gordon by offering him a drink of wine. Gordon decides to entrust his life to Earl. Gordon, realizing he has no choice, agrees to have a drink. Gordon drinks the wine despite his wound. Earl praises Gordon's bravery. The goblet with the drink falls into the water. The man reacts to the drink by shouting, "Throat, my throat!" Description of the fire throat drink. It is brewed in a crater of burnt shells grown in the circle of purgatory and the hottest bloody gad pepper from the crocodile kingdom. It is one of the famous drinks in town. The effects of drinking the drink are described. First, a strong burning sensation in the throat, followed by a rapid heartbeat, a rush of blood, enlargement of the pores, and a strong rise in body temperature. The man is experiencing a burning sensation. A man enjoys the sensation. A mermaid appears in the water. Baron Gordon is warned about the severe rise in body temperature of ice mermaids during heat and their natural inclination to bond after consuming fire throat. Ice mermaids live in the deep sea, and their bodies secrete a slippery slime to heal wounds and survive in cold water. Baron Gordon is advised to enjoy the company of 3 mermaids, after which he will no longer be interested in human women. A man is afraid to mess with mermaids. A man finds himself in the water with a mermaid, feeling awkward and confused. The man is upset at the mermaid's disobedience. He contemplated how to awaken without attracting Modto's attention. His plan is to show his weakness to Modto so that he can control him completely. The man learns that the 3 mermaids are very obsessive. He is warned that it is impossible to get out. The man drops the dagger. The mermaid is experiencing intense excitement. The mermaid advises him to act on instinct. Gordon and the mermaid are in very close contact, close to kissing. The text says to use their bodies to cool off. Gordon is surrounded by several mermaids who are touching him. The text mentions that mermaids are the best weapons for breaking the human will. Gordon suffers from the obvious aphrodisiac influence emanating from mermaids. His comment refers to the beautiful body and the fact that mermaids are a scary species. The mermaid embraces Gordon, enveloping him with her body. The man is clearly in a state of arousal. A mermaid with purple hair seductively approaches Gordon, suggesting that he take full possession of them. Gordon wonders if the situation is a trap. The man admits his reaction to the situation, but realizes that this is Countess Modto's plan. The mermaid puts her finger on Gordon's lips, asking him to shut up. The mermaid reveals her plan. Gordon must kill Countess Modto to become the new lord. Gordon's gaze changes. He realizes he is facing a serious threat. A man with severe anxiety asks not to be joked about. He watches tensely as if expecting something. Gaoyi finds himself surrounded by 2 mermaids in a bathtub. One of the mermaids asks if he's joking. Gaoyi suspects that this is Count Modto's trap. The mermaid covers his mouth with her hand. The mermaid explains that because of their close relationship, she understands him. She calls him Gao Yi, a hero of virtue from another world. Gao Yi is surprised to learn her real name and suspects that she is from the Church of Destiny. The mermaid says not to think about it. The mermaid introduces herself as a member of an ice mermaid royal family with the ability to read minds. A prerequisite for mind reading is close contact with men. It turns out that there is such an ability. Now that you've seen everything, let's be honest with each other. I don't have the power to kill Count Modto right now, you should know that. On the other hand, compared to me, you had more opportunities and abilities to kill Count Modto, but you still persuaded me to do it. So there are 2 possibilities. First of all, you were testing me because if I couldn't withstand the temptation and tried to kill the Count, I would die. But if that's the case, you didn't need to reveal your mind-reading ability just to tell Count Modto about my true identity. It doesn't make sense. So the second option, I play a very important role for you, or you want me to do something for you. But you weren't sure if I would cooperate, so you first seduced me with beauty, but that failed. Then you saw my true personality by reading my mind and started using me as blackmail. Because I have a unique value. Because you also have important information that is very important to my life, so this has become a case. Since it's a case, Let's not be nervous. A man is taking a bath. Okay, tell me your true motive. A girl with purple hair and a fishtail is depicted. The girl says he's the only one who could create opportunities. She continues that she saw his passion for money that is unrivaled, but he was able to control it completely. She says she feels his gentle nature deep in her heart. The guy asks her what she wants. The girl replies with a smile that he is very smart, didn't he guess? The girl gently touches the guy's face. She says she wants him. The guy is surprised, hinting at her unusualness. The girl confesses that he is her first and will be her last man. The man asks in surprise if his interlocutor is one of Count Murto's maids. The woman explains that Count Murto has never had sexual relations with non-human races. He has a particular sexual fetish. She continues that the Earl has never forced them to serve men directly, and his intention to test a man's mind and heart signifies a sincere interest in him. The man realizes the seriousness of the situation and reacts to what he hears. The woman reminds him that after he leaves the Count's chambers, he must inform him as if they have convinced the man to kill him. This is the final test of his loyalty. The man doubts the veracity of the claim that he was not in danger. The woman, smiling, calls the man gentle. The woman says she won't put herself in danger until she gives him an heir and picks up on the difficulty in dealing with the women of this world. The man buttons his jacket. A man asks a woman about ways to connect with her. Before Murto dies, don't try to contact me. I'll get in touch myself if I need help. Also, my name is Chow. Remember well, I am your first woman in this world. I want to forget it, but I don't think I can. Your Highness, is he really worth the risk we're taking? This man is meant to be king. He is the one who rules, not the one who is ruled. He is able to do for us what Modto was incapable of doing. From now on, he is our true lord. You must be loyal to him to the death. Yes, Your Highness. Lord Gao Yi's firstborn must be born of me. Chow and the masked mermaid stand in front of the painting. How about their services? Would you like to do it again? Mr. Gordon enjoying tea in the company of a cat. A certain person expresses delight at something, but then hesitates, not knowing whether to say anything else. Gordon suggests that a person should just say what they want to say. The man informs Gordon that he's about to be coaxed into killing him. Gordon reacted to the news with equanimity. The young man, crouching down, looks badly frightened. The hero swears allegiance to Gordon and is willing to be his sword against his enemies. Gordon serves the man tea, and the man obediently accepts it. Gordon asks what the man can do for him. The hero, smiling, shows determination. The man, coming from a wealthy family, talks about how money is the basis of their survival. The green-haired man asks if he looks like someone who needs money. Hero that his family's motto is, "More money is never a bad thing." He reminds his interlocutor that the king's nephew, before his defeat, also lacked funds. The interlocutor approves of the story, encouraging him to continue. Shows a map of the kingdom of Croc Bay, showing the location of various places and spheres of influence. The green-haired man tells of his brother, who was given the most remote section of the kingdom, Crocodile City, 14 years ago before he died. The man recounts how his brother didn't expect his brother to work hard and grow instead of falling into despair. The green-haired man recalls how 3 years ago he defeated the kingdom's 12,000-man army with only 3,000 soldiers. He ends the story by confessing that he personally drowned his older brother in a murky crocodile swamp. Jobak, the current king, and his son, Little Red Crocodile Jobo, hate the narrator to the core and want to kill him as soon as possible. The narrator expresses contempt for the king and his son, calling them useless. The narrator, holding the cup, is portrayed with indifference to Jobak and Jobo, comparing them to rotting moss in a gloomy swamp. The narrator considers Jobak and his son unworthy rivals. The narrator has only one real rival in the kingdom. The narrator prepares to reveal the identity of his only real rival. The only real rival is Huegu, the crocodile tamer. The narrator wonders about the name Huegu. Huegu is the backbone of the Crocodile Cove Kingdom, the first hero, the most powerful general, and the only duke of the kingdom. Huegu also tamed Jobo's Little Red Crocodile and Black Iron Crocodile, creating the Knights of the Iron Abyss squad. The girl is happy to report that the hero is a hero of the kingdom. A man reacts in surprise to information about Iron Knights riding crocodiles. The girl explains that despite being small in number, 1,000 men, the Iron Knights are the strongest army in the kingdom of Crocodile Bay. The Azure Legion, one of the strongest units, was defeated by the Iron Knights. A man conceives that hunting crocodiles, an important military animal, is probably illegal, jeopardizing his business plan. The girl is upset because the crocodiles in the murky swamp are not black iron abysses, which do not attack humans. The man is perplexed that the crocodiles in the murky swamp are not black iron abysses. It is explained that the swamp is home to another species of crocodile, the spiny swamp crocodile, bred by Count Modto. It is a stronger species, created to resist the Iron Knights. The man realizes that this is the result of successfully breeding a new breed. The girl reports that the experiment has failed. The untamable swamp crocodile, stronger than the Black Throne, is too aggressive, and Modto has tried many times to tame it, but without success. The two discuss that ordinary people won't survive in a dystopian crocodile swamp. The crocodile was released into the swamp, creating a natural barrier that not only prevents attacks, but also prevents the inhabitants of the crocodile city from escaping, depriving them of labor. One of the men thinks it's a great plan, but the woman rebukes him. The man is satisfied that he has removed an obstacle to the first phase of his plan. Jugu and his Knights of the Abyss are the only obstacle in a man's path to the crown. Another man asks if there is a way to defeat Jugu with enough money. The man answers in the affirmative. The man is asked to explain his method in detail. The man agrees. Gordon, a man with green hair, smiles, anticipating something. He says someone will have to spend his entire fortune. Someone replies that all the money can be recovered, and when he takes possession of the kingdom, it will be a drop in the bucket. Gordon promises something, but before he does, he offers to take one last test. He appoints a man as the mayor of Crocodile City and gives him the task of earning 100,000 golden crocodiles in 3 months, promising financial support. The mayor agrees, but he needs someone to enforce orders and ensure safety. Gordon calls for his bodyguard. A silhouette appears out of the shadows. A bodyguard girl appears, covered in a dark substance that looks like ink. She steps on the ground, leaving a trail of dark liquid behind her. By order of Mr. Gordon, Ghost becomes his personal guard and must not refuse his requests. The Ghost agrees to the terms. The girl is tied up and gagged. A girl is brutally beaten with a whip. 2 other women are forced to bark promises to make the one who complies with the order a wife and hereditary knight. The group of men laugh gloatingly. A woman in a gorgeous dress falls over in horror. The woman, embraced by the magical flash, glares fiercely at those around her. The young man utters with horror, "Mother!" A woman in a long dress appears in the doorway. Young King Jobo was slapped in the face by his mother. Jobo's mother is indignant and asks him if he understands his actions. Jobo replies that his mother is ruining his fun. The king's mother condemns his behavior, asking if he is worthy of his father's memory. Jobo ironically asks his mother if she sincerely doesn't understand or is faking it. The young monarch declares that his father was a far greater player than himself. Jobo grabs the young woman by the hair. The king shows the 2 captives and tells them that his father held them captive. Jobo explains that the 2 girls were ordinary people, but became knights in just 3 years. Jobo watches the scene with his mother, pleased with himself. Jobo is feeling extreme rage. Jobo attacks his opponent with his sword. The man draws his sword sharply. Jobo is wounded, pierced by a sword. Blood streaming from Jobo's mouth, he is scolded. Jobo is badly wounded, a sword sticking out of his head. A boy, Kevin, with a crossbow taunts the dying man. Kevin stands over the body of the dead Jobo. There are women crying nearby. The woman speaks in despair about the hopeless state of the kingdom. Kevin assures his mother that everything will be fine as long as his grandfather is around. A young man with red hair smiles evilly and declares that he will always be the king of Crocodile Bay. The blonde-haired girl tilts her head thoughtfully to the side. The woman with red hair frowns, deep in thought. The girl with the blonde hair frowns, looking on with judgment. The young man with dark hair looks scared and confused. A group of red-eyed men surround the young man, asking how long they will observe him and claiming he is fine. The red-haired woman is surprised and delighted that Modto was able to bring the young man back unharmed. The girl with short blonde hair notes that the young man provoked people into beating tax collectors, and without Modto's intervention, he would have been tortured and badly beaten. The blonde-haired girl points her finger and shouts happily that she has found the wound. A young man with dark hair points at something, saying, "Look." A small purple wound was found on the man's neck. The girl assumed it was a mosquito bite, given the aggressiveness of mosquitoes in the swampy area. The man confirmed it was a mosquito bite, recalling the location of Count Modto's castle near a lake where mosquitoes breed easily. The woman Emma is outraged when she sees the wound on the man's body and claims it is not just a mosquito bite. Emma is sure it's Count Modto's mysterious torture. The girl notices that the mosquitoes in Count Modto's house are unusually aggressive. The woman notes that her mosquito bites in Crocodile City look different with no swelling. The man suggests it could have been another insect bite, but is reassured that Emma can heal with magic. A man prepares for an important announcement. A man declares his allegiance to Count Modto and his appointment as the new mayor of Crocodile City. Earl, surrounded by 3 women, laughs nervously, covering his face with his hand. One of the women expresses extreme displeasure and surprise, asking why they serve this devil. She mentions the previous mayor who was killed by him after only a month of service. The woman talking about the mayor comes sharply closer to the reader. The woman addresses Earl, referring to him as my Lord Earl. Shadow grabs the woman and threatens that it's none of her business. Earl orders Shadow only to warn the woman, as she is very valuable. The Shadow clutches the woman. You can see that she's being suppressed. Earl nods to Shadow in agreement. One of the women, a redhead, is surprised to recognize Shadow as one of the 4 generals of Modto's evil, Ghost Blade Shadow. Earl introduces Shadows as his personal guard and asks everyone to applaud. The innkeeper, with the help of the Shadow Ghostmaster, assures everyone that his establishment is safe. The audience welcomes the news with meager applause. Modto has subdued 4 generals in a very short time, which speaks to his extraordinary abilities. The Count addresses the crowd, forbidding them to disrespect him. The Count declares the need to sacrifice his relatives for the common good, entrusting the matter to Master Shadow Ghost. The subordinates reluctantly agree. The Count believes that this approach is more realistic. The Count explains his decision to keep Shadow Ghost under control rather than use him as a secret spy. Applause sounds. The Count asks everyone to rest and attend his inauguration as mayor the next morning. The Count asks to book a luxurious room for Shadow Ghost at his expense. Master Shadow Ghost refuses. Shadow Ghost promises to stay in the shadows and guard the Count. A man is thinking about something, his face partially obscured. A woman with red hair and swarthy skin arouses the interest of the observer. Her unusual magic and appearance raises the question of her origin. A man analyzes a woman's abilities, noting their value for espionage and assassination. He is impressed by her ability to use shadows for invisibility. A man decides to get a woman as his assistant, believing that her talent is too valuable to pass up. The man sleeps soundly in his bed. The man continues to sleep. A woman with an unusual appearance prepares to fulfill her mission. She declares the beginning of action. Another man tells of his plans to steal all of the sleeping man's belongings, though his motives remain unclear. The Shadow Woman reveals the details of her invisibility abilities. She names the next part of the plan to her favorite. A woman stealthily approaches a sleeping man, apparently to steal something. The elf found an object hidden in his pocket. The elf smirks, finding the task too easy. The subject is not where expected. The elf decides to thoroughly search the entire room. Despite a thorough search, including the space under the toilet bowl, the item was not found. There's only one place left to check. The elf assumes the item is hidden under a blanket on the bed where the man sleeps. The elf searches for an object under the blanket, frustration on his face. The elf concludes that the item is missing. The man lying on the bed was suddenly struck painfully on the arm. Someone tells Xiaoxi to stop causing trouble. Xiaoxi's intense, worried expression is shown. A person discovers Xiaoxi sleeping intimately with another person and questions the situation. The observer wonders if Xiaoxi is awake, noting the dream orchid incense's potency. The observer recalls Xiaoxi will have a separate bed from their brother when starting junior high. The observer realizes that Xiaoxi was simply dreaming. The observer rationalizes that being close to Xiaoxi is the easiest way to search for them. Xiaoxi and the other person are shown sleeping together. A close-up of the two sleeping together. The observer wonders if something is hidden in Xiaoxi's pants. Suddenly, the hugged elf asks him to stop the pranks or his brother will get angry. The elf tries to break free, marveling at the man's strength. Despite his inability to break free, the elf is not uncomfortable. The man hugs the elf tightly, the elf sleeping on his shoulder. Hugging the elf, the man finds the embrace warm and comforting. The elf becomes comfortable. He feels like he was a child when his brother hugged him. The elf decides to rest in the embrace, putting off examining the body for later. The elf makes a decision. The elf squints. View of a large mansion. This is Emma's bedroom. Emma, the holy mentor, wakes up early in the morning to set an example for the brave. This is Lanliu's bedroom. Lanliu plans to conquer Baron Gordon's stomach with his caramelized black lava lamb and cheese pudding. This is Cattail's bedroom. Cattail is going to thank the rich, weird uncle. Lanliu asks Emma and Cattail why they are up so early. Lanliu suggests that everyone come in together. Lanliu, Emma, and Cattail present Baron Gordon with their dessert, and Emma brags about getting up before him. The couple sleeps in a sweet embrace. 3 women, 2 blondes, and a redhead stand in shock. The young man wakes up. A man asks why the 3 women are up so early. The guy ponders that from the looks on their faces, you'd think he woke up with a naked woman. The man looks surprised. There's a naked, dark-skinned elven woman sleeping on the bed. The guy is shocked. The blonde asks what went on during the night with the girl. The red-haired woman is upset, saying the girl was first. The red-haired woman realizes it's a trap by Modto. The redhead is surprised to see no compulsion on the girl's face. The woman sobs, shocked that overnight Lord Gordon has subjugated Modto, forcing him into his service and even making him a ghost shadow-level assassin. Emma wonders why Murtaugh's henchmen slept naked in the same bed as Lord Gordon. The woman reassures Emma, advising her to ignore the pictures. The elf wakes up asking where her brother is. The elf's brother shows up, insisting that all is not as it seems. The elf asks her brother to hold her and get some sleep. Someone slams their fist powerfully into the ground. A woman in a rage attacks Emma and another woman. The man leads the woman away, saying it's time to go. The woman leaves the dessert for breakfast, waiting for Lord Baron and Miss Ghost Shadow to rest. The door swung open abruptly. A dark-skinned pixie sleeps on the bed. The man ponders why Murtaugh's men keep coming to him. A man catches an elf woman naked. The elfess wakes up and her eyes are red. She mumbles about the inspection. A close-up of the elf's eyes, pupils dilated. The man addresses the elven woman, calling her Ms. Shadow Ghost. The elven woman, now hooded, attacks the man with a knife. An elven woman attacks a man with a knife. The man expresses bewilderment at the elf's behavior, calling her a woman. Shadow Ghost is ordered not to tell anyone about the events of the previous night. Someone notices the Shadow Ghost's strong reaction and assumes it's unrelated to Modto. Shadow Ghost admits that Emma and the others took him by surprise. The Shadow Ghost is going to kill all the witnesses. An unknown character advises Shadow Ghost not to do this. The Count explains that Emma and the others are important to his livelihood. Without them, he cannot defeat the crocodile breeder Uega and the king of Crocodile Bay. The Count asks the Shadow if she is sure she can afford this sin. The Count assures Shadow that he will keep the secret, as revealing the information would get them both in trouble. The Count reminds Shadow of the potential consequences if the Count finds out about the incident. The Count offers to keep what happened a secret between the two of them. The Shadow held a knife to the young man's throat. The young man warns Shadow that if the Count finds out, he will kill her. Shadow replies that she is ready to die. The Shadow lets go of the knife. The young man rebukes Shadow for holding a knife while being his bodyguard. The young man pushes the Shadow away. The young man lifts Shadows up. Shadow is perplexed as to why her body can't resist the young man. The older elf scolds the younger one for playing with knives. The younger elf pleads guilty. The Shadow realizes that the young man has let her go. Someone releases a small caged figure. A man orders Emma and others to prepare for a gathering in the town square, announcing the start of Crocodile Town's revitalization plan. A large crowd gathers in the bustling town square. Townsfolk discuss the town's new mayor, remarking on the short terms of office of previous mayors, one of whom was even fed to crocodiles after only a month. Someone wonders how long the new mayor will last. The new mayor arrives, escorted by 2 women. Someone recognizes the mayor as a foreign noble who previously clashed with Count Murtaugh's tax collectors. Townspeople express concern and disbelief about the new mayor, speculating about his relationship with Modto and predicting a short reign. The mayor listens silently. The mayor shouts for quiet. Crocodile City's new mayor says he didn't come to answer residents' questions. He explains that his goals are 3 things. The mayor names all 3 goals: make money, and make money again. The city manager promises to ensure that within 3 months, every family in Crocodile City will earn 100 gold crocodile coins. Residents of the city doubt the adequacy of the new mayor and discuss how Modto was able to find such a person for the post. They point out that all the residents of the city put together do not have 100 coins. The mayor is calling for Emma. Emma arrives holding a stack of papers. Emma throws around a lot of sheets apparently containing earnings information. Residents catch the flying sheets. One resident is shocked to see the contents of the documents. A crocodile extermination order has been announced. There is a reward for killing an armored swamp crocodile before 10 days have passed, and half the reward after that. The mayor will pay for all medical expenses related to the hunt. A man confirms the existence of the crocodile extermination order. The goal is to get crocodile armor. There is a battle with an armored crocodile. The hero uses magic. The crocodile's hand pierces the ice shield. Crocodile armor is destroyed, but not by magic. Magic has no effect on the crocodile. It is mentioned that the crocodile feeder Zhu was able to defeat the magic of the Singapore United States due to the armor. The spiked swamp crocodile armor is a hybrid with high resistance to magic. It can be sold to hostile nations. A man is amazed at the possibility of getting a gold crocodile coin for killing one crocodile. Other people discuss that killing crocodiles is a capital offense, and the mayor probably wants to kill them. The document bearing Count Murtaugh's seal has been found. A man asks the Count for permission to kill a swamp crocodile. The Count authorizes it, but only for 3 months. The man assures that the order to eliminate the crocodile is signed by the Count himself. Killing a swamp crocodile is a lucrative endeavor, but Murtau cheated people. Modto exploited the people of the town, causing them to lose trust in him. One of the soldiers suggests executing those who disobey orders. The protagonist objects to the use of force. The protagonist realizes that he needs to regain the trust of the townspeople. The protagonist realizes that it is necessary to restore the trust of the townspeople, otherwise all efforts will be in vain. Crossbow arrows can be seen above, aimed at a public execution. Young ponders that in order to regain the trust of the townspeople, advance payments must be made first. The same young man is hit by a crossbow bolt. He is shocked. The blonde-haired woman holding him on her lap excitedly calls him brave hero. The woman covers her face with her hands, distressed by what has happened. The young man, now a baron, asks the woman to call him Baron. The woman worries about his condition, asking if he's okay. The baron smiles, recalling that he bought a breastplate of steel the day before. The girl with the crossbow looks alarmed. The girl holding the crossbow is thinking about that bolt. A man lies there in great pain. He was struck by an arrow that pierced even steel armor. The deputy is in shock. The arrow went through the steel cuirass. The female warrior orders the wounded man not to move so as not to aggravate the wound. The arrow went deep into the body. Despite being wounded, the man asks the female warrior to leave him and catch the killer. The female warrior explains that the arrow belongs to the Knights of the Iron Abyss, and pursuit is dangerous. A startled man asks about the Knights of the Iron Abyss. The female warrior says the chances of catching the killers are now minimal. The man agrees not to pursue the killers, and we see the mighty knight in full form. A figure in a dark cloak descends from a high tower on eagle-like wings. The knight in heavy armor lands on the stone surface, creating a shockwave. The knight's landing causes part of the stone floor to shatter. A group of people below are crying out for help, demanding that the knight be stopped. The knight moves quickly toward his goal. The chief of guards gives orders to prevent the knight from approaching the baron. The soldier attacks the knight with his sword, but the knight parries the blow. The knight grabs the soldier, tossing him aside. The chief of guards and another soldier try to attack the knight. Soldiers surround the knight, ready for battle. The whole story. A mysterious figure in a dark cloak lands on the stone floor, destroying it. A group of people ask for help, worried about the baron. The chief of guards and his soldiers try to stop the knight, but the knight easily deflects their attacks, showing superior fighting skills. Eventually, the soldiers surround the dangerous enemy, preparing for a decisive clash. Protected by a strong shield, the man is attacked by multiple spears. Spears can't penetrate the defense. The lord and his companions note the extraordinary durability of the armor, suggesting they retreat, leaving some alive. The girl exclaims with joy upon seeing her grandfather. A sudden attack knocks down one of the attackers. A warrior in a dark cloak throws down a defeated enemy. The girl's grandfather is threatening to retaliate against his granddaughter's kidnappers. The granddaughter stops the grandfather, explaining that the man who saved her was the one they wanted to kill. Grandpa, stunned, asks, "What?" Grandpa Cuttail hits the floor hard in anger. An excited young man in an elegant suit stands, worried. The girl tells her grandfather that everything is fine, despite his concerns for her well-being. The granddaughter admits that she secretly bought grain, was caught by inspectors, and was rescued by her older brother who punished the offenders. The young man stands in front of a huge, menacing-looking man. A man in armor holds up a helmet. The girl's grandfather looks shocked and surprised. The young man replies succinctly, "That's it." The young man adjusts his tie nervously. The grandfather accuses the young man of facilitating the kidnapping of his granddaughter and abusing his power. A bloodstain is visible on the young man's clothing. A dark-haired elf girl with a knife threatens an old man, ordering him to let someone go or she'll stick the knife elsewhere. The old man, amazed by the girl's magic, asks if she is a dark elf from Darkdale, given her shadow magic skills. The girl replies that the old man used standard Iron Abyss Army crossbow arrows and asks if he is a secret agent of Jegu. The old man declares that the girl must not be arrogant, as his crocodile armor is not penetrated by her shadow knife. The young man is surprised to learn of the old man's crocodile armor and spiked helmet. The old man, angrily addressing the young man, calls him Modto's henchman and threatens him for daring to touch his favorite granddaughter. The young man asks the old man what he is doing. The young man is stunned and states that he can't move. The young man asks if the old man's armor is made of swamp crocodile armor. The old man, confident in his defense, asks what the young man can do to him. A man with an angry look learns of the ban on killing crocodiles in the kingdom. Another man claims to have killed at least 100 crocodiles, believing them to be mere animals. The old man demonstrates armor made from the skins of 7 swamp crocodiles. The first man confesses to killing 7 crocodiles, and it's good. A group of people discuss the new mayor, his actions, and the promise of a reward for killing alligators, suggesting it's a trap. The first man is pleased with the results, stating that everything is very good. The old man looks at the wounded man with bewilderment. The old man gives the man a reward for killing crocodiles, 7 gold coins. A group of people discuss the implications of what happened and the fairness of the reward, given that the man injured the soldiers. The mayor shows a gesture alluding to the elimination of witnesses. On the tray are flowers and an expensive box of chocolates. A woman with red hair, dressed in an elegant gown, lowers herself from some sort of dais. A young man, an old man calling himself the Crocodile Killer, and a woman with red hair stand together holding a bouquet of roses. It is explained that the first 50 people to kill crocodiles will receive a Bigong VIP card, providing free accommodation for 3 days and 55% discount on all services. A woman with red hair holds up several gold cards and rejoices in the free Bigong services for herself and her family. 4 hours ago in front of the house door. Close-up of the face of a woman with red hair, she is shy and embarrassed. A woman in a gorgeous dress asks the Baron why he has come to her room. Baron responds that Shady Girl did a poor job with the service last night. A woman reflects that men have a stronger sex drive in the morning than in the evening. The man ponders whether he will finally become the Baron's man. A close-up of the hand of a man in luxurious clothing is seen. A woman asks a man why he won't wait until tonight to give a speech. He replies that he wants it now. The man insinuates that the woman did not satisfy him. He says the elves are weaker than he thought. The woman says she can't help it and that he didn't vent all his anger last night. The man reassures the woman by saying, "It's okay." The woman is confused. The man states that she seems to be gone. The woman is surprised and says the Baron confused her. The man found that when using shadow magic, the wall heated up, but now it was cold, meaning no one had overheard their conversation. The woman is surprised that the man has figured out the peculiarities of shadow magic overnight. A man asks Lan Liu if she wants to make money. Lan Liu answers in the affirmative, dreaming of money. A man offers Lan Liu a deal. He will help her earn 100,000 gold crocodile coins in 3 months to pay off her debts. In return, she will become his. Lan Liu is shocked at the extent of his help, but agrees. The man is pleased and offers Lan Liu to sign a contract making her his employee. Lan Liu is perplexed by the offer to become an employee. The man explains the terms of the contract. Lan Liu will pay off all debts, receive 70% of Bigong's annual net profits, and manage marketing, but he will remain behind the scenes. Lan Liu doubts his ability to pay off his debts in 6 months, but realizes there is no alternative, so he agrees. The hero ponders that if this is Baron Gordon, then anything is possible. Someone signed the document. The woman in the black dress bends over. The woman points to the signature on the document. The heroine asks Ms. Lan Liu to help her make and print cards that say Bigong. The heroine notes that the Baron's move was indeed brilliant, addressing the audience. People watch as the soldiers build a fire and wonder about the impending execution of the old man who wounded the soldier. A man in a luxurious suit adjusts his clothes. A man burns his clothes and the other is surprised. A woman with blonde hair is shocked to learn that the burned clothes were worth 1,500 gold crocodile coins. The character realizes that everyone hates to know. He admits that he himself was a nobleman, living a parasitic life, exploiting people and squandering his family's wealth. However, something has changed. Meeting Emma, the sacred mentor of the Order of Destiny, turned his life upside down. Emma explained that destiny is the invisible shackles that people are born with. The goal of humanity is to break those chains. The current shackles are the poverty created by the rich crocodiles. He calls for a struggle against them. A man renounces his nobility and joins the Crocodile Extermination Order. He encourages killing crocodiles to get rich and find happiness. A man leads a mob driven by the desire to achieve happiness by destroying the rich. A crowd of people excitedly shouting, "Kill crocodiles, you'll get rich!" A young man stands in front of a crowd that repeats the slogan of killing crocodiles for enrichment and calls for a united movement towards happiness. Only a boot and an elegant shoe is visible standing on the wooden floor. The woman admires the Baron, assuring him that he was able to convince the people of Crocodile City to trust him completely in just an hour. The Baron feels ill. His vision is blurred. He recognizes that he has reached the limit of his powers. Baron shakes and sways violently. The woman excitedly calls out to Baron, a bloodstain visible on his shirt. The Baron is under some powerful influence, possibly magical. Someone's hand pulls a magical arrow with a dark purple glow from the water. The Baron is receiving medical attention, possibly magical. The Baron is recovering from his wound. The two women announce his awakening. The awakened aristocrat asks how long he has been unconscious. One of the women replies that it's been almost 4 hours. The woman in black explains that the Baron was shot in the chest, but continued to perform on stage despite severe blood loss. The Baron explains that he was wearing a steel breastplate, and the arrow penetrated his chest only an inch. The woman in black describes the features of the Iron Abyss Knight's arrows that cause heavy bleeding. The Baron wonders why he was not informed of the danger sooner. The woman in black explains that she didn't want to interrupt his performance. The Baron inquires about the whereabouts of Cuttle and her grandfather, asking if they are gone. The woman reassures the Baron, informing him that she has found the old man and put him up at Baganga. The Baron approves of the woman's actions and emphasizes the importance of treating the old man with care, as he is a key figure in the crocodile extermination order. The old man eagerly eats the food. The old man happily drinks the wine. The old man is pleased with the abundant food and drink. A granddaughter reminds her grandfather of his principles of not accepting alms from others. Grandfather explains that this is not alms but hospitality. The grandfather encourages his granddaughter to eat well too, so that she can cheat the nobles afterward. The Baron and his entourage observe the old man's dinner. The old man says it's okay, but the alcohol is too weak. A young man, holding a bottle of pink liquid in his hand, says he has brought fire throat and is going to drink it with an elderly man. The old man explains that the technology to make the fire throat belongs to the royal family from Crocodile Bay, and ordinary people can't buy it, even with money. The young man asks everyone to step outside to talk to the elderly man face to face. The shadow warns that it is too dangerous to leave a young man alone with an older man. The young man is giving orders to the shadow. The shadow agrees with the order. Shadow and the blonde girl leave the room. The blonde girl comments on Shadow's rudeness. The young man offers Shadow the position of chief consultant for the swamp crocodile hunt and makes him a lucrative offer. He suggests that the Shadow name whatever price he wants for the job. The mercenary is surprised to be hired despite a recent assassination attempt. The town's mayor states that his desire to hire a mercenary is unrelated to the previous assassination attempt. The mayor is amazed by the mercenary's resilience and wonders why he fights so hard. The mercenary replies that it's all about the money. The mayor doubts the feasibility of the mercenary plan, suggesting easier ways to raise revenue. Mercenary explains his plan to increase the city's revenue by developing high-margin industries. The mayor begins to feel sympathy for the mercenary. The mayor offers the mercenary a deal: free consulting services in exchange for the mayor's intoxication. Mercenary agrees to the deal. The mayor warns that the mercenary will have to drink very hard liquor, and that failure will be a waste of time. An hour later, Baron, how much have you had to drink? Everything all right, sir? Everything is good. I even signed a counseling agreement for free. But the old man doesn't seem to be feeling well. The girl watches the situation with excitement. Gordon will be my big brother from now on. Whoever gets touched, I'm gonna kill him. Grandpa, get dressed quickly. Don't underestimate those who have gone through the Chinese drinking culture. Gordon sleeps in his robe. Orchid dream incense. We dark elves are a race that never gives up until we reach our goal. The shadow ghost strikes again. The man gave the old man 7 gold crocodile coins, which he took out of his clothes, after which he burned the clothes with the money not in his jacket, but in his shirt underneath. The woman, angry that there is no money, claims there is no such thing. The woman panics, looking for the hidden money. An enraged woman vows to find the hidden money, even if she has to strip a man naked. The man, meanwhile, remembers that he added twice as much Orchid Dream potion this time as he did yesterday. The woman claims that even if she kills the man, he won't wake up because of the alcohol he drank. A man is asleep, heavily intoxicated. A woman can't find money under her clothes. The woman is still looking for money. Smothered, crushed by something heavy, the little yellow chick complains of heat and heaviness. A muscular anthropomorphic rooster vows to never give up. The young elf with white hair feels embarrassment and surprise. The elf, highly aroused, is above the man. He feels the heat. Someone's leg was broken. The elf looks confused and worried again. The man with the closed face is perplexed as to why a double amount of dream orchid isn't enough. The elf tries to explain himself to the man, calling what happened a misunderstanding. A philosophical statement about looking into the abyss that stares back. An anthropomorphic rooster announces the need to conquer the abyss. The elf watches, looking frightened. The elf begs the Baron to stop. The hero threatens to kill if he is not left alone. The young man groans in pain and misery. He tries to use the shadow blade, but it doesn't condense. Suddenly he remembers that his brother drank fire throat the day before. The young man's consciousness goes blank, his mind clouded. What remains is physical pleasure, he realizes, is his brother's warmth. The young man's face contorted with a mixture of pain and pleasure. Someone's hand caresses his back. The young man gradually succumbs, submits. He sinks into despair and pain. Emma describes herself as a greedy and cowardly woman who constantly allowed herself to enjoy forbidden pleasure. The narrative describes how the fiery throat burned into the Baron's body. The scene switches to Emma's room at night. Emma hears sounds in her bedroom. Emma, covered in a blanket, fears there is a ghost in the room. The man appears to be experiencing a severe headache. The pain moves to the man's lower back. Emma suddenly appears. Emma exclaims, "Holy shit!" in horror, remembering how she couldn't sleep all night thinking about the ghosts in the room. A man asks a girl if she slept well last night. Emma asks the brave hero to spend the night with her, and the hero is perplexed as to why the girl suddenly wants to sleep with him. A frightened girl claims that her room has been visited by a ghost. The man next to her tries to calm her down, suggesting that it was just a nightmare. The man wonders why he didn't hear anything. The man assumes that the girl was sound asleep because of the alcohol she drank. The girl insists that it was not a dream. The man promises the girl to stop making a fuss as he has a lot of things to do. A man asks the girl to change into her old clothes and dress more modestly. The girl complies. The man calls the girl Miss Ghost Shadow. The man looks puzzled. He asks Ms. Ghost Shadow if everything is okay. The man is suddenly jostled by someone. A mysterious character appears and he asks what's going on. A man asks everyone to gather in his room in half an hour as he has something to say. The man asks the creature peering out of the wall why it won't fully show itself. The creature replies that it was simply too lazy to go out completely and it had nothing to do with him. In fact, it couldn't walk properly because of the aftermath of the stormy night spent with Gao Yi. The man says he just needs to notify everyone, and he can do that as it is. He then wonders why he is so irritable after waking up. A man announces the creation of something. A man announces the formation of the committee to revitalize Crocodile City. A man explains that the committee will be responsible for implementing a plan to revitalize Crocodile City. He offers a quick run-through of the plan through interactive questions. The man states that the only way to succeed in the plan is to engage in commercial trade. The man explains that commercial trade consists of 3 elements: goods, customers, and profits. The man suggests starting the discussion with commodities, asking what would be considered a commodity. The woman states that only things of value become commodities. The man clarifies that value is a simplistic definition and asks what the most valuable commodity in Crocodile City is. A man shows off his protective gear of crocodile armor. The man explains that it is crocodile skin armor. A man explains that the poverty of Crocodile Town is due to the spiny armored swamp crocodile, which resides in the Ghost Crocodile Swamp area. The people of the town, despite their hatred of the reptiles, tolerate them because the crocodiles isolate them from the rest of the world. A man explains that the object of the residents' hatred is at the same time their most valuable resource. The man explains that according to research, spiny crocodile armor has excellent physical and magical resistance approaching that of orichalcum. The man announces that crocodile armor will be the first product to launch. A man asks who would be the target audience for crocodile armor. Blondie assumes it will be adventurers and soldiers, but adds that it's not precise enough. The 2 women discuss that magically resistant materials are expensive and can only be afforded by rich countries, mercenary units, and teams of adventurers. The man asks for clarification of the information. The old man explains that countries and groups that are often prone to magical attacks cannot afford equipment with magical defenses. The man asks for an example. The old man gives the example of the hostile states of the Singapore Magical Union and smaller countries that are often attacked. The map shows the location of the town of Crocodile Bay, which is important because of its strategic location on the trade route. The man explains that if the Count does not defeat Juegu, the trade route will be open, and trade with other countries will become difficult. The elf woman asks to be told everything in no uncertain terms. A man says the best consumers of crocodile skin armor are the usual adventurers and mercenaries hunting firebird feathers in Purgatoria via the crocodile bypass. The woman explains that obtaining the feathers of a firebird, the strongest fire creature on the continent, requires the best high magic defense equipment available only to experienced groups of adventurers. She continues that less affluent adventurers are forced to use weak equipment or no protection at all, resulting in high mortality rates. The man expresses confidence in making a profit. The old man explains that from June to September, there is a rainy season when the power of the firebird wanes, and feather hunters come to Crocodile City. The old man notes that hunting season is less than a month away. The woman estimates that between 5,000 and 10,000 hunters come to town each year during hunting season. The woman calculates a potential profit of 25,000 gold crocodile coins in 3 months if the net profit from each set of armor is 5 coins. The man claims it's not enough. The old man asks the man if the amount is enough for him. The man reminds us that crocodile armor is only one of the goods. Crocodile meat and organs can also be used. The old man asks in surprise, "Crocodile meat?" The man proposes to invest in popularizing crocodile dishes, positioning them as a delicacy with health benefits, showing crocodile hearts claiming they improve fitness. Crocodile eyes, according to the man, improve eyesight. Crocodile penis is claimed to increase sexual performance. 2 women are discussing whether or not swamp crocodile can be cooked. One of them expresses disgust. The old man replies that he ate crocodile meat when he was young and it had a peculiar odor when cooked. A young woman says she tasted crocodile meat and was sick for 3 days. The old man claims that crocodile tail has a slightly fishy odor and is a bit tough when fried. The man summarizes that all available resources must be used to develop the city, and the first step is to kill enough swamp crocodiles. The distance from Crocodile Town to Ghost Crocodile Swamp is 15 kilometers, taking about 3 hours on foot. Traveling there and back in a day would take 6 hours, which is too long. To save time, it is decided to build an outpost near the gloomy crocodile swamp for 200-300 people as a forward base. The plan is to recruit young and strong people in the town to form a crocodile extermination team. The old man will conduct intensive training all day long. Members of the crocodile extermination team will receive a reward for each swamp crocodile killed and a monthly base salary. Crocodile extermination team will be the key to the effective implementation of the crocodile extermination order. With the exception of Ms. Laniliu, everyone will be camping with the crocodile extermination team. Laniliu thinks that there is no need for the Baron to live in the camp. He can give orders from there as well. But if the Baron is in the camp, her chances of meeting him will be drastically reduced. If the journey seemed too long, the Baron would ensure that ghostly crocodiles would be delivered to the swamp daily. The dark elf fell asleep from exhaustion. The Baron appreciates Laniliu's kindness, but there is no time to rest before feather hunting season. Crocodile Land is a feudal state with a low level of civilization, an unstable political system, and weak justice. Without sufficient armed forces, no matter how much money it has, it will only be a money bag for Modto to smash. The main reason for living in the camp is to get away from Modto and build relationships with the townspeople in order to create a docile army to carry out the crocodile extermination order. Modto will be the first step to power in this world. The camp was built 4 days ago. Joining the crocodile extermination team, one must submit to training and management. Today's team captain is this man. He's going to talk about methods of killing crocodiles. You may not be imagining the fury of a swamp crocodile in its shell. For the best training for hunting a swamp crocodile in shell, I caught an adult swamp crocodile in its shell today. Damn it! It's a live swamp crocodile in its shell. This old man is incredibly strong. Caught it alive. Where did he come from? They say he's a veteran of the Knights of the Iron Abyss. I'll post it so everyone can familiarize themselves with his habits first. Click! The old man realized that he had forgotten to put a muzzle on the creature. A huge eye with a yellow iris belonging to a monster is shown. An old man is riding a huge crocodile, which is trying to throw him off. 2 young men watch the scene in horror, calling the old man crazy. One of them shouts that it is all over. One of the young men looks frowning, depressed by what he has seen. The crocodile throws the old man off himself. The old man is thrown aside with force. The aggrieved old man advises everyone to remember to act as he did in a similar situation. Warning: never attempt to subdue a spiny armored swamp crocodile while on horseback unless you are wearing special armor. Illustration of the warning: with a single movement, a crocodile can tear the flesh on its victim's legs and arms. The threat of destroying what you piss on. Complacency. Contingencies are unlikely with proper crocodile hunting. The old man explains the weak point of the spiny armored swamp crocodile, the belly, which is usually hidden. The question of how to attack a crocodile if its back cannot be penetrated, the old man answers, the second most vulnerable place is the throat. But crocodiles won't just open their mouths. A solution is proposed, a spear with a piece of meat tied to it. The mayor demonstrates the method by attracting the crocodile with bait to open its jaws. The mayor is a brave man. Attack visualization. The meat attracts the crocodile, opening its jaws to bite, allowing you to attack its throat. A man thrusts a spear into a large animal. The spear pierces the spiny armored crocodile of the swamp. The latter lashes out furiously. The man explains that a wounded crocodile will fight back hard, but it is necessary to hold the spear for 5 breaths. The man emphasizes the need to keep the spear in his hands. A man tells the audience how he fought the same crocodile a year ago, piercing its jaw with a dagger, but only forcing it to open its jaws. The man describes how after escaping, the crocodile chased him for several miles. The young man looks at the narrator in disbelief. Everyone watches in bewilderment at the defeated spiny armored crocodile of the swamp. The man expresses extreme surprise and disbelief. The old man says that what follows is an explanation of crocodile hunting. The mushroom, named Drunken Umbrella, is shown in close-up. A person recognizes the Drunken Umbrella mushroom by describing its smell as fishy. The growing places of the Drunken Umbrella mushroom, in the shade of rotting wood and rocks in a dingy crocodile swamp, are described, and its foul odor is mentioned. The anesthetic effect of the mushroom is discussed. It is suggested that its juice be used to treat spearheads to hunt crocodiles. A group of people discuss using a mushroom to hunt crocodiles and the announced reward for doing so. The mayor, a woman, explains that the big reward attracts brave people and that she has personally trained them in safe and effective hunting techniques. A group of hunters head toward the swamp. Hunters use mushroom-treated spears to kill the crocodile. Tired hunters return to camp with their prey. The mayor summarizes the hunt, calculating that with an increase in the number of hunters, it would be possible to catch a large number of crocodiles in 10 days. A young man with a serious expression on his face. A young man approaches an older man, telling him about a difficult problem. The old man explains the problem of a shortage of armor material from the spiny swamp crocodiles. You need a minimum of 7 crocodiles to make a full set of armor, and you can get less than 60 sets in total. Young proposes sending a team of crocodile hunters to the ghost crocodile swamp to hunt them and collect material at the same time. The young man reflects, believing that the cause of the problem is not just a lack of crocodiles. The young man asks the elder if there is anything else more dangerous in ghost crocodile swamp besides spiny swamp crocodiles. The old man, alarmed, speaks of something hidden in the swamp. An old man uncovers the terrible secret of the inhabitants of the swamp ghost crocodiles. Swamp frogs that are 100 times more dangerous than the spiny swamp crocodiles. Did you like it and want part 2? Let's get 1,000 likes and also write in the comments the secret word money. That way I'll know you've watched it to the end and want part 2. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like. See you later and bye-bye.